there, sweet friends. I hope you are all well, and I am so happy to welcome all of you to day 5 of our 12 Days of Christmas in July tutorial series. If you're just joining in, you can find links at the top of the description for the first 4 days so you can get caught up. And don't forget to listen throughout the video for the question of the day. For day 5, we're creating this fast and fabulous loaded pocket. I have some very fun cheats and hacks for you today to make this a really fast and fun to create project. So if that sounds good to you, then stick around and we will make it together. Here's those supplies I'm working with today, and I have a couple of things from the Dollar Tree. First, I have this prize ribbon for a birthday. We're gonna get more into that in a bit when we use it. And then I also got my pack here of 3 paper bags. These are handle bags, and they have a craft center and colorful on the outside. We're going to have to deconstruct these to reinvent them into our pocket, but that's okay because that's going to be way more fun than a boring old bag anyway. And I got a pack of 3 for our project today. I am only going to need 2, so I have plenty to make more of these pockets. And then I'm also going to use this winter collection from Echo Park. For people like me who live in Michigan, we have a winter season that extends well beyond the holidays, so it's kind of nice to have a collection that can bridge that seasonal festive time but also still cold. And so this is going to be the perfect collection to finish our loaded pocket. I picked a dark blue cardstock to coordinate with my bags, and this is going to wrap around those sections so that our paper does not fall through. And so I have this cut to be 8 3/4 by 5 1/2. I'm going to come in and score it at 6, and then also 6 3/4. So this is just going to wrap around and become the bottom. Before we add any of those bags and the bulk from the paper, I want to add this small section so that I can use this to wrap the sides. Now nothing's going to fall out, but this will help to keep those bags that are gusseted from falling open. So I just have the very front portion. It winds up to be 2 inches. And so I'm going to add this secondary piece. So this is 2 high by 11 wide, the full width of my paper. And I'm going to line that up here right along the top of that pocket. Then I'll flip that over and line it up so that the edge falls right alongside one of the grooves, and then shift that over so that I have a full groove on this side as well. This is going to give me a nice crisp crease along the side there. And I also need to include 3/4 of an inch because that is the depth of the pocket. And so let's just line that up and then add 3/4 of an inch for each side. And we'll worry about adhering these when we get further along. As I mentioned, we are going to be deconstructing this bag just a bit. And so I did pull the handle outside of here. I'm going to reserve those for a future project. But then I'm also going to bring these to my guillotine cutter, and I'm just going to slice off a little sliver here to remove that edge where it's pinked on the edge, because I want it to be nice and straight and even. And then I turned it into my guillotine cutter, and for the first bag I removed 6 inches, so you can just fold that up pretty easily and that will come up. And then on the second bag I removed 4 inches, so our first back section will be 6 inches high, the next layer will be 4, and that did leave me with enough to cut a 2-inch portion from the second bag, and that will become the very front pocket. I've added some double-sided tape here to the back of my cardstock. Of course, we want that 2-glue combo. I'll just bring that bag in here. You see how it is open on both sides, and you do want that this is going to expand within the base, and so that will allow us to have plenty of room inside for all those inserts. I'm just lining that up. I know it's hard to see the dark cardstock on camera, but I'm just getting that positioned right along the score line so that it will fold properly. And then this is going to become the back pocket. This will be the largest pocket here, and for that we'll be able to include some nice size inserts for full-size pictures. Okay, so now on to the next pocket. Remember, this one is going to be 4 inches and it's still open on both sides. 2 glue combo one more time. And then I'm just going to continue to line that up along. So once we put the first bag in place, I can just stack that very carefully right along there. And repeat that process for this last section. And once again, I'm just lining that up right along the sides and bottom. So here's our 3 pocket sections added, and I do want to adhere it now to this portion of the base. So let's pull that tape, a little bit of tape here as well. Remember, we have the first score line, and that is going to be the front, and then the second will be for the back. This is just going to tack this in place. And then pull the paper backing off. I'm going to take a minute to just pre-fold on those score lines so I know exactly where they are. Then once I fold up this section, I'll also bring up this back to meet it. And then I can slip my hand in there. I hope I can get that on camera, and just bring that bag to the front. Once I get a quick contact on that, I'll show you. You see now that I was able to get that adhere to the front of the bag, and we have a lot of movement in here now to fill in with those inserts. So bring this around and then do the same step. Bring the bag up to that score line. Do that for this side. And put your hand down in there so that you can give some pressure to the back of that tape. And then you do want to finish the back with a collection paper just so that it has a nice finished look. I found this one in that collection with some sort of shiplap pattern on it, and I thought it would be nice to have this for if you want to include some journaling or some sentiment if you're giving this as a gift. And so this piece of paper is going to measure 6 7/8 of an inch high by 5 1/4 of an inch wide. Yes, I know the border is a little bit bigger on the sides, but that is just to accommodate the fact that these mass-produced bags are not all exactly even, and so I don't want to run out of room on any of them, so I just have a little bit of a wider border on the back there. And so this is going to finish that section. We can work on the front. I'm going to add a little bit of pattern paper here for lining the back of these pockets, and so I have that collection paper cut. When I slide that in, I will mention that there is only adhesive on the top so that I can get that down into the pocket. And for our first piece, it's going to be 5 7/8 inch high by 5 1/4 inch wide, and that is going to slide into the back of this gusseted section. And because we only have adhesive on the top, that will go in pretty easily. Just make sure that you get that centered right to left. You see, and now we've added another layer of thickness for this to be very sturdy, and then also it looks nicer to have that lined. For the next one down, remember our pocket is going to be 4 inches, so for this pattern it's 3 7/8 by 5 1/4, and I'm just alternating these so that I come up with a geometric with the all over pattern. That way there are noticeable layering patterns. Same step on that one. I want to get it into the back portion of that gusset to keep as much of that pocket free as possible. Just get that centered and pressed into place. For the front pocket, we're just going to cover over this cardstock area. So I switch back to the geometric on that. It's 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. And that's just going to give us those same nice borders as we have used on the other bags. So now you can see when I start to add my inserts here, there is 3/4 of an inch of depth for these to move back and forth. And that would be perfect because we really want to load this up. For the back portion, I have 2 inserts. And these are not going to be folded inserts, but I did finish the front and the back with the pattern paper. And I am also thinking that you could easily write on this if you want to put your memories right down on here, but this is big so that you can have your full-size pictures. I've got 2 layers here. One is cardstock. That is 7 high by 5 1/4 of an inch wide. And the pattern paper is 6 7/8 by 5 1/8. Now I'm going to alternate these and put one in the front part of the gusset. Slide that down in there. You see how it extends beyond the top. So we've added height for our project. And then the second one is going to go into the back gusset. And now that is super thick and sturdy. For the next one down, I wanted to incorporate a folded insert, and I'm inspired to use an A2 size greeting card style. So that will be a top folding. And I have my cardstock cut here to be 11 by 4 1/4, and then it's scored at 5 1/2. This measures 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and that will just give me that nice border of the blue cardstock showing all the way around. And I also want to incorporate one of those journal cut apart images. You see that I have already included my pattern paper for the inside and the back. You can add your pictures here and fill this up on all of these sides. And so this is just going to go into that pocket. You see how easily that slid in. I also have a non-folded insert. So this one is still going to be finished on the front and the back. The cardstock measurement is 5 by 4, and the pattern paper will be 4 7/8 by 3 7/8, and I've just elected to use one of the offcuts as a layering pattern, so that will go down in there as well. And you see when I am starting to put these layers in, I'm kind of alternating them so that I get the nice effect of all those layers showing at once. For the front one, I'm going to move into my 4 by 4 cut apart sheet, and I have cut out 2 of these, one on top of the other, with the intention of scoring that. So I cut out 8 inches by 4, scored it at 4. So now I essentially have a 4 by 4 top folding card. Now our sentiment on the back would be upside down. We don't want that. So I'm just going to come in here and add a couple of layers of my offcuts. And I did already add some of my pattern. I did already add some of my double-sided adhesive, so I'll just follow up with this strip. Not quite wide enough to fill this whole area. So once I get this clipped off, I'll come in with a layering pattern. And I'm just adding this here right along the bottom. I don't need to leave any of the border of that blue cardstock showing because we don't have any showing on the front either. So let's just clip off the excess, So this is going to be another top folding insert. And we'd add that here to alternate. I had a couple of the 3 by 4 inch image cut aparts, and I'll tuck these in as well. We're going to add some additional embellishments as we go along, but I just wanted to show you how that basic layout was going to work. Now, for the part that was shared in the intro, so here is that additional item from the Dollar Tree that we're going to alter. Now, I have found recently a pin that shared a prize ribbon die cut set, and I was scrolling past it, and I have poor impulse control, so I try not to click on things and check them out as soon as I see it, because I will inevitably buy something and I really want to consider whether I'm going to get use out of it or not. So when I did decide that I wanted it, I went back and I couldn't find it. And so I am going to assume that maybe it wasn't not a currently available die. There were quite a few of them available now, like prize ribbon with kind of a folded scored edge and that type of thing. So if you want to look for one, there are plenty available, just not the one that I saw, and that was the one that I really wanted to purchase. But I did find this at the Dollar Tree, and I thought that maybe I could dupe that die for this project anyway. There was only 2 colors, some very bright pink and then this blue. And so I didn't find any in red or green, but that would be nice for Christmas. Anyway, I picked this up and decided for $1.25 I could attempt to deconstruct it. And I was quite surprised how easily I was able to get these apart. They were hot glued, but it was pretty easy to pull that apart. So I can still use this shaker on a card. And then here is the portion that I really wanted. I do not have the sewing skills or the patience to create this pleated ribbon effect. It is sewn, and so even though it was glued down, it came off as one single unit. And then here's the back was a pin, so maybe that could be part of another project. And then the 2 tails we're going to utilize as the ribbon for the inserts. Now, I would normally want to use really reasonable ribbon, but I felt like this was going to just match really well, and so I'm going to continue to use that for this project. The first thing I want to do is adhere this to something on the back so that I'll have a surface to build these layers on. And I have just a circle that is die cut with a scalloped edge. Doesn't really matter for the back because it's not going to show, but I will run another bead of hot glue around here. And then when I flip it over, you'll see that there is quite a depth here in the middle, and I want to fill that in so that I have a nice support for my focal image. So I'll just put 2 layers of my foam tab here, and that will give me the height that I need to build up that center section. You see when I lay that on here, it will lay pretty much flat. And so let's just take this backing off and add that to our ribbon. Now bring my pocket back in, and then we'll lay this in place, and you can be thinking, wow, that's quite a large embellishment for the front. And I agree, it's Christmas, we can go big for Christmas. So let's just position this here where we think we're going to put it, and then we can begin to add the other layers as we work along. I got a couple of those flowers that I created. I shared those in my haul. These are the Cinch and Go poinsettias. I have these in a 3-layer with some coordinating paper. That was quite fortuitous. I did not know at the time that this was going to become my project, but they do go together pretty well. And then I also added just a little bit of die cut holly so that I can have some greenery. And I finished that off with my stamens, and these did come from really reasonable ribbon. You see now, I want to add these and alternate those again so that I get all of these nice layers of those details. So I'm just going to rest those in place temporarily as I'm working along. And now I see that I need to swap this one out with the other side. I'm going to add those with hot glue, and then we can begin to build some of the other layers. So as I am doing this, it is time for the question of the day. So if you are stuck in a hypothetical elevator for an hour, what are you going to want to be listening to? Is it going to be Mariah Carey or Michael Bublé Christmas music? For me, I'm going to say, let me just do this real quick first. I'm adding this only with glue to the bottom so that I don't seal that up accidentally. And I'm going to have to pick Michael Bublé only because for some reason, All I Want for Christmas makes me sing. And I don't sing by necessity because I cannot carry a tune to save my life, and the other hypothetical passengers in the elevator would heave me over the side. So I have to pick Michael Bublé. So let me know in the comments, what are you listening to when you are stuck in that elevator for an hour? So you see, I am just positioning this on the top of that cut apart. I did hide that little hat, but it didn't take away from my tag at all. So this is just gonna slide right in there. And then this one is gonna go on the top of this tag. Do you guys ever do that? Find something on Pinterest and then go back and try to find it and it's just not there and you wonder if you imagined it or dreamed it up? I do that all the time. All right, now we have some flowers in place and we've got our different sides here to fill that in. Let's take this one out and this one out and work on some trim. So as I mentioned, I'm just gonna use this trim that was already on here. And because I want both sides of the print to show, I'm just gonna fold it into a little notch and then cut the V shape here. And I'll glue that so it will hold its shape. Then I'll position this here where I want it and find my place. You need a little bit of glue here. You could staple this, but I don't have anything lining the back. So I just wanted to make sure to add this adhere just to the front. I've also got myself a couple of loopy twine bows. I'll add that. There's a couple little snowflake charms. Get that pretty close to that bow. Trim the excess. Top that with a button. That one is going to go here. I'll do that same process for this card as well. And then that one slides in there. So we're going to continue alternating our sides and our embellishments. I've just got a couple pieces of trim here. And I think this is the rule, whereas if you have it, you don't necessarily need to use it. So we're going to pass on these two larger strips and then we'll go right into some sequins. And I've got just a little bit of room here for those on top of this die cut sentiment. Got a couple little clothespins here, just little wooden clothespins. I thought it would be nice just to tack these on. Sometimes there are items that you want to include and you don't necessarily want to attach to your book. So this might be a way to incorporate some of those items. And I do want to alternate those again so that I've got a nice distribution of these layering details. Okay, so that's going to be it for day 5. Make sure you join me tomorrow for day 6. If you enjoyed this tutorial, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. You can find links in the description below. And I'm wishing you all a happy and productive day. And I thank you so much for watching. Bye.